All right, so this is the final part of the Third Man Record Store tour, part 3. And on this one, we're going to talk a little bit about Record Store Day, what goes into it. We're going to look at the sound room. We're going to talk with Warren, who does, he's the one that puts everything onto the vinyl and the decisions that he has to make when people bring in records. And also, again, some more of the quality control, listening and talking about the test pressings. And they also have their own record collection there too. So this is the final episode of this, and hopefully you've watched the other two, and you're getting something out of this. For me, it was just one of the most interesting experiences that I've ever been allowed to take part of. And so, again, my thanks to Third Man Records, my thanks to Eddie for taking all that time with me and taking me around and really showing me what goes on in answering all of my questions. And there was a lot of stuff that we talked about when the camera or the phone was not rolling, and didn't include all that in. But again, I'm most impressive with Third Man Records and what they did, and also how friendly they are, and allowing me to come in and have this kind of access and spend that time with them. Hey, if you remember on my Sunday show, I had all that snow, 1.5 feet. Look at that. Stuff's gone now. It's like 60 degrees. I guess that's Colorado. So let's get on with this, and welcome to Third Man Records, Part 3, the final episode.
I see a sign over there for Record Store Day. When do you start Record Store Day doing those?
So usually it's a good indicator of how, when you have a due date, and we'll say Record Store Day is technically a due date for a lot of projects.
Yeah.
You do want to start them as early as possible, and knowing what you're going to make. So yeah, generally in January and February, those are in process so that they can hit their depot dates by March, let's say, a month ahead of.
So you've already done a...
Yes.
Wow.
So that's a good way to think about it, is that when you have a due date, then that means it has to be at the distributor at least a month ahead.
Okay.
And if it's overseas, it has to be overseas a month ahead of that.
Yeah.
So when you start backing it up, you'll start seeing where if somebody announces a new upcoming record, let's say, oh, I have a record coming out in April, depending on the number that they're pressing, will determine when that job probably started.
Okay.
So it could have started late last year to get a head start.
Sure.
So there's a little bit of variable there, but definitely by January, February, if you don't have all your components, all your materials, everything should be in motion at that point in order to hit that. Is it the third Saturday in April, right?
Yep.
So
yep.
It's going to come up really fast.
It does. Now, a few years back, there was just this, there seemed to be a backlog of trying to put out records. There wasn't enough record processing plants. A lot of the new artists couldn't get their stuff out because, even now when I think like Taylor Swift's going to put out a record.
Yeah.
I mean, how many record pressings machines does that take?
Of course.
Does it push? How far does that really make it tough on the little guy that's trying to get his record done?
It can, but I'm one of the ones that I didn't really 100% agree with all of the reporting that was done on that.
Okay.
I think we're in a different state now where the turnaround time is much shorter.
Yeah.
I think people have gotten better at getting their jobs planned out better, and generally that's what it comes down to. Is if you have good planning and you can get all your components to the manufacturer on time, they're going to turn it around faster for you.
Sure.
You're not necessarily going to wait in line. If I have all of my components, guess what? I'm going to get pushed to the front of the line.
Yeah.
But if I'm waiting on something and it's keeping me from getting the job done, there's where your built-in delays start getting extended. You want to make your decisions faster and get all your print and all your components all in at the same time, and then there's no reason for it to wait.
Yeah.
So yes, there was an issue with let's say just supply and chain in general, where because so many things were coming out simultaneously and all kind of due at the same time, we'll say, that is going to create an issue of how do you prioritize those things. And each plant has those challenges. I believe now that I think a lot of that stuff has worked through a little bit because you've gone from this glut of almost like so much creativity and so many new projects coming out along with the reissue projects. Now a lot of these bands and artists and talent have gone out on the road to get out there and start playing live again. So it's created a little bit of a catch-up, right, where everyone has had a chance to catch back up in a sense, and now able to do things a lot more effectively because I think people are understanding the process a little bit more. That so to get away from that perception that we still hear, unfortunately, that people still think, oh, I'm not going to be able to get my record for 8 months. And it's like, that is absolutely not true.
Okay.
I'm here to tell you, give us a call and we'll walk you through that process and teach you exactly how short, much shorter the process is. And even less than half of that by now or more. That, again, it all depends on a lot of factors and variables that are controlled by the customer, but also the more that you can provide to us, the quicker we can turn it around. And that's what we're always going to want to do, is turn it around as fast as possible.
Okay, very good. That's good to hear. And you're right. That was out there, but I know there's more pressing plants and everything opened up.
That helps.
And you guys have doubled your capacity here.
Exactly.
So it makes a big difference.
So the more capacity and the more capability you have, you're going to be able to cut those wait times down dramatically. And that's really the message that should be getting out there now, is that the wait times aren't like they were for that really a short period of time where, when the complaining or the waiting was being extended, and there were good reasons for that. Those have definitely been fixed.
Okay, good. One other question I wanted to ask was, so the masters over there, the mother, you save a good one. When you think of a group like, say, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Fleetwood Mac Rumors that have been pressed 1 billion times years ago. How do they? It can't be on master tapes anymore, can it?
It does exist on a tape somewhere. There is a master.
Okay.
And
wouldn't it wear out sometime?
What's that?
Wouldn't it wear out eventually?
Well, there is a whole world of how do you get the masters from some of these tapes that, depending on what year they were recorded and what material, what kind of tape they were recorded on, you'll hear people talk about how they had to bake the masters, which is gently reheating them to reset the adhesive that is on the tape that starts to kind of, I guess, ooze out or it just from sitting. And then they'll do their remastering or the recutting at that point from those originals.
Okay.
And then, of course, once they make their copies of that, it makes it a lot easier to make the metal and get it back into production.
Now, for you, we were talking about this earlier, how you take these obscure Detroit bands, you take these old blues bands, and how hard is that to find those tapes or find something to make a?
It's a great question. There have been a few projects where the only remaining artifact was a cassette tape, for example, that we've brought back to life, or our awesome cutting engineer, our mastering engineer, Warren DeFever, is our point person at that level. Because we're constantly searching for these interesting artifacts from not just our local area, but just in general. And what kind of cool projects can we do that not only represent the city, but represent the different genres and where some of this stuff started. So from years ago, we've talked about Laughing Hyenas, for example, which this is right here in this area is where, they were a prolific punk band from that era, that was something that we wanted to be a part of. How do we bring that back, reissue, get the material, get the rights, get all of those things in line in order to put this back in people's hands and remind them of this legacy that is so important to punk music in general. But for us to be able to be the ones to bring that back to life is really important. But yeah, you have to, you got to call around, and somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody has the remaining or the original reel-to-reel, or so sometimes you have to kind of go digging in the basements to find some of this stuff. Even one of our CEOs, Ben Blackwell, has done his share of dumpster diving, if you will, to get their hands on some of the stuff that we were able to end up putting out.
And you have like a soundboard then too, so you can hook up, and so you can really work that sound to kind of get it just right.
Absolutely. We have a full mastering studio here in Detroit, one of the only ones in the area, I believe, and we're able to take any audio source, get it converted, get it run through and remastered, so that it's for not just for vinyl, but for any of the services, streaming, commercials, radio, doesn't matter. Our mastering engineer has that capability to put those, that final polish on that audio, and we'll take a look at that our studio here in a minute.
All right, fantastic.
I also, what I was going to mention too about special projects. So there was a moment where even I was involved in a preservation project for a local musician here who was inducted into the Tejano Music Hall of Fame in Texas. And and he had never been on a record. So long story short, his son finds all these old tapes, literally in the attic, in a bag, didn't know what was on them. At the time, I was fortunate that we came together. I was able to transfer all of the music into a digital format so that he could preserve these old tapes that went back to the late 50s. But through that process, as we listened to the music, I just fell in love with it immediately. Not just with his voice, but Martin Solis Jr. was the artist who was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Once I started listening and hearing the music, I said, I have to let somebody hear this because this sounds so good. I asked them in Nashville if they would take a listen. I'm just like, just tell me what you think. And they were just like, wow, this sounds incredible. Like, where did you find this? Where did it come from? But once I filled them in, I'm like, we have to press this. It's from our old neighborhood. It's from the Metro Detroit area. It establishes and preserves the legacy of the Tejano music. It was so strong in our Southwest Detroit community. And again, it was one of those projects that no one else probably would have touched, but it was so connected to Detroit and Third Man that we made sure that this got pressed on vinyl. And what it did lead to, though, after that was, again, icing on the cake, if you will, a historical marker that was placed in Southwest Detroit last year that commemorates the Tejano music because there's so many musicians from this area that came up from Texas, that direct connection between the South and the North, but on the musical side, and that the Mexican community here is so strong that what a fantastic way for us to give back.
Wow. Is that still available out in the store?
Yep, sure is.
Who is the artist?
Everything on our catalog stays in print. Nothing goes out of print.
Oh, that's
Martin Solis Jr.
Okay, wonderful. God, that's cool.
Yeah. That was a really fun project.
Oh, man, no doubt. Passion, right?
Oh, it was just every step of the way. So just to hear the music and then to be able to talk to him. He did pass away, but before he passed away, we were able to have that on a record and be able to play it for him and let him listen to it, and it just not a dry eye in the room.
Beautiful.
Just that special.
Yeah, that's what you guys do.
This is our audio area for where we do the majority, all of our listening for the records that are on press.
Oh, yeah.
Tom here is our specialist in the test pressing phase where we're getting the job started. So these jobs here, as you can see, all have notes attached. Things that we're getting ready to listen to that have just been pressed on our test pressing label. And then that's what goes to the customer first before anything can start. Get that okay, the thumbs up to go. It's a go, and we can start production.
Okay.
We have to go through that test pressing phase before we can do that.
And you do 5 unless they want more, right?
Yep. Okay. Exactly. And usually press it all on standard black, even if it's going to be on a different color, just because the black's going to give you your best audio clarity, and then when it comes to when the job starts, you have that. That has been, taken care of ahead of it, and it allows you to, all right, let's do a run of it.
So does he listens to the whole album?
Yes. Oh yeah, front to back. And generally, even on the stuff that's being pressed, we try to listen to it fully from front to back. It does take, obviously, there's a time factor in there.
Yeah.
But when your presses are running good and you're getting good feedback and it's sounding good, looking good. It's like, keep doing what you're doing. Don't fix it if it ain't broken, right? And let's stick with it. So keep that quality high.
Wow. Neat.
We're gonna go and take a peek at Warren in the studio.
Oh, the quiet area. What is this your used record store?
The majority of this record rack are. These are just the different collections of everyone who works here.
Oh, really?
So the fun part of our job is getting to listen to vinyl all day. Overhead.
Yeah.
As you can see, we got a record playing right now.
Yeah.
And then we just have anything you can think of that people bring, comes and goes. Sometimes people will bring in records like, hey, I have, I'm decluttering. Here's anybody interested in these? And new purchases, anything, the record that just came out or something. We're bringing stuff in here all the time. So
Detroit Polka. Wow. Okay. I just wasn't expecting that. Armageddon. All right, I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
And more of this beautiful artwork.
Yes.
Vinyl artwork.
Vinyl art. It's our little lucky turtle there. But yeah, here it is doing.
Look at that! Isn't that something?
This one, I just got this one. I've been wanting this one for a record I grew up with, right? And maybe we'll press it here someday. But yeah, it's like I was telling you, you don't know what you're going to hear next.
Yeah, I say I saw Dixie Chicks in there.
Yeah.
We got Soul and Polka. It's everything. Beastie Boys.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's the fun part of coming to work.
Yeah.
Too,
Hi, I just wanted to film you eating. I thought that would be super exciting, okay?
Our break room, but also like a backstage area when we do our shows and our events. This is kind of a little quiet area for people to get ready to go on stage, get to do their hair, makeup. So yeah, it's a convenient spot for that. And then back here is our mastering studio. We'll see if Warren is working hard. Come on.
Hi, Warren.
Mind if I...
Welcome.
Warren DeFever is our mastering engineer, our cutting engineer.
You're the guy that signs the
Can't
dead
hear
wax.
you guys. I'm really busy. I'm working. You guys are distracting me. Stay focused.
You autograph the dead wax.
Yes.
Yes.
Autograph isn't the right word. It's
Okay.
really carve. You carve into it. You
True.
have a tool. You cut into it.
Okay.
And a lot of people do their initials.
Mm-hmm.
My initials are WMD. I thought that was a little bit strong, a little bit troublesome for some people, politically active. So I went with just abbreviated my first name.
Okay.
To War.
And once in a while, there's like messages on there.
Yes, I don't get to pick those.
Oh, you don't?
Sometimes I ask, hey, is it Cutter's Choice? And they go, no. It's usually someone at the record label or the artist.
Okay, all right.
Occasionally an artist will say, hey, can you draw a flower and dedicate it to my girlfriend? And I'm like, okay, I practice drawing a flower, practice cutting a flower, Then I go to do the one, and there's only one, and it looks like a decapitated ear. And I'm like, oops, sorry, lady.
So,
You get one chance.
So besides being the guy, the sound engineer, you have to be an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did get that Donald Byrd album. That sounded great.
Awesome.
And it looks good.
Yes. Man.
It's one of the best covers. The spot gloss, unbelievable.
Uh-huh.
It honors the original art, but at the same time moves it a little bit forward into the future.
Yeah. So you get the quiet room.
It's not soundproof, but it is neutral.
Okay.
There's no weird echoes bouncing around. There's no phase cancellation. It's very accurate. So a lot of times musicians are in a studio, you know, they're working late. Sometimes they stay up all night. Sometimes they've been drinking and don't always make the best decisions. And in here, it is neutral. It's the cold, hard facts of what's on the tape. I hear what's honestly on there, and then I fix it.
Okay.
It's the final creative step of the record-making process, and my judgment stands. We used to call it like the Supreme Court Justice of audio, but that lately doesn't feel like that.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't feel
Okay.
right.
I get that. Yeah. I totally understand. And so obviously the cutting to making your masters or whatever. And then you put the lacquer on there to see when it's done to play it?
When we do the final master cut, you can't play it. The lacquer is delicate.
Because it's bends backwards too, right?
Nope, it's
Okay.
just like a regular record.
All right.
And you can't, it's sticky, it's soft, it's affected by heat and humidity. So as soon as we cut the master, we put it in a space box, ship it overnight. Within 36 hours, they've sprayed it with liquid silver and dunked it in a nickel bath. So we do a series of test cuts. We do, for each record, we do a series up to maybe even 100 test cuts. Load that in, listen to that, play that back, and make sure everything works properly.
Now you have to, with the grooves, you have to kind of look at that and decide how much can fit on a record. And you know, what's it? 18 minutes is optimum.
There's a lot of physics. It's not always about the music. Sometimes it's just about the math.
Yeah.
A 19-minute side, a 38-minute record, you can do anything. You can have all the bass in the world. When people go longer, you have to reduce the bass slightly because you're trying to cram in more lines per inch.
Yeah.
And so there's a physical limit. If someone sent me a record that was really loud, very bassy, and very long, it'd be great if we could make a 14-inch or 15-inch record for them, because then that would sound great. Unfortunately, they're all 12 inches, and we all need to fit the same amount of sound on there. So you end up having to, a longer record will be quieter and will have less bass.
Okay. So a deeper groove or a little thicker one is more the bass. So again, they go longer, it just gets thinner.
Physically takes up more space to do a louder, bassier, more compressed track.
I was wondering how that worked.
I've cut a 30-minute side, and it sounds great, but there's not a lot of low end.
Yeah. All right, that makes the big difference. And then obviously your magic boards, huh?
This is the computer here. In 1974, that was the Neumann cutting computer. That basically, it holds about 13 seconds of information. So the groove, when it's cutting, doesn't bump into the previous groove or the next groove.
Okay. 13.
It doesn't do anything an app in your phone couldn't do for 99 cents.
Okay. And then people bring in, it could be a variety of different medias to try to do, and you get them put in through the soundboard to figure that out.
We get old tapes, we get DAT tapes, we get CDs, we've mastered from cassette, digital files, anything.
And you just have to work it to try to get the sound. Obviously, then you send it to them and see if it's what they want.
I tell them what they want.
Okay.
And they agree.
All right, very good. All right, do not mess with the master.
That's how it works.
Yep, I like that. Boy, you got the job. Very nice. Oh, this is really amazing and very quiet in here. How long does it take to do when you make?
If we're working, let's say for like the Blue Note releases or some other recent releases we've done from the original tapes, It takes about a day to really figure it all out and get it
Okay.
all sounding great. Most of the audio we receive is digital, and so just previewing the record, getting familiar with the music, putting it all together, you can cut a record in 2.5, 3 hours.
Okay.
But we cut it in real time, so
Yeah. But you listen through it first, trying to see what it sounds like, what you
identifying,
need to do.
problematic areas, potential issues,
Yeah.
finding
Okay.
the peaks, finding the quietest moments.
Yeah.
just cutting
Fantastic.
those.
All right. Well, I won't keep you. I appreciate you at least taking the time and taking off your headphones
Thanks,
just
yeah.
to
It's a lot, I
talk.
do a lot of work here.
Yes. No, I know. I can see that. And it looks cool. That's what's important.
Well, Warren has that direct line to the customer or the actual artist
Yeah.
and what they're looking to, what they want done. And sometimes, it's not. Sometimes those expectations have to be squashed.
Yeah. You have to
Or
give them
the-
the cold hard facts.
Well, to teach them the
Occasionally,
truth.
occasionally an artist will be unreasonable.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Sure.
I'm here to help.
A
I'm
deep-
just helping them.
A diva moment, and they can sit here and relax as you're doing your thing.
Have the crucial conversations.
The tough talks.
Yeah. Okay.
Not
It's
just
physics.
talk.
It's just physics.
Yeah. You can't argue. Well, some people want to argue with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know that,
Science.
but you get it through them. All right. That's great.
Appreciate it, Warren.
Cool. Anytime. I'm
Thank
here.
you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks.